Hello viewers, it's November 16th, 2018, just in case I don't get to edit and publish this thing for a little while. But I got a problem with an Ameristar package unit. If you go back and watch some of my videos, you'll see that I did a review of an Ameristar package unit, and then a little while later actually did a video of installing it. That was in 2016, I believe, and it ran fine until spring of this year. It made it through heating season last year, but in the spring I got a call that they had no AC. So I went out to check, and you was getting a Y signal to the board, but nothing was coming out for the contactor or the condenser fan. So the board has a little LED on it, and it was not on at all, which means it was a bad board. So I bypassed that board, got them some cooling, and I came back to the shop and got all the serial numbers and stuff together and called my distributor and said, hey, I need a defrost board for this unit. So a little while later he called me back and said, well, there's a 90-day lead time on that board. They don't have any in America. So I kind of figured I had a distributor that wasn't telling me the truth, so I checked with Train. Of course, I'm an American Standard dealer, and Train and American Standard both sell these. Well, Train had the same situation. They had one, I think, in Jacksonville, Florida or something at the time. And, it wasn't that it was I needed it right away. It was just that, what if it was winter time when it went out? So anyway, I waited for my distributor, and they got the boards in, I think, in August, late August, and they shipped me one. Well, the distributor messed up and shipped it to my shop here. And of course, I'm never here during the day. So UPS left a little note on my door that they'd try again tomorrow. So I wrote on the note to, could you leave it down the block at the UPS store if I'm not here? Well, I guess he just saw the note still on the door and kept driving and sent it back, told him I'd moved or something. So I checked the tracking number and saw that it was on its way back to the factory or wherever. So I called my distributor immediately and said, hey, my board, they're sending it back. I need it. He said, no problem. I'll get you another one coming and send it to your home address, so they can leave it there for you. Well, lo and behold, about a day later, my distributor called me and said, hey, I just got an email back from them, and they say there's a 90-day lead time on that board again. So what I got to wonder is, how bad are your boards if you've got to wait 3 months to get them, and then once you do get them, they're gone within days? I mean, apparently a lot of people was waiting on replacement defrost boards. It wasn't just me. So I called Train again, and they had one in their region. I think it was in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And he brought it in for me. I paid shipping and whatnot and got the board, went and put it on. Of course, it was still summertime at that point. And it fired right up. I ohmed out the thermistors when I put the new board back on, just to make sure they were okay, and they were. Of course, I checked them when I first diagnosed it. They got a little chart, tells you what they're supposed to be based on the outdoor temperature. So anyway, I put it together, and it came on fine and ran until it was time for heat. And I get a call and said, hey, this unit's making a terrible racket. And he said, it sounds like the fan's loose. And I said, well, tell him to go look and make sure there's no ice down in it. Well, he come back and said, yeah, the fan was hitting ice. So he turned it off, and I went up to check it today, and I did a little video along the way. But basically what we find out is that the board is bad. Even though the little LED was on, it wasn't sending out 5 volts on these thermistor leads like it should be. And I mean, it's dead of winter now. You're not going to wait on a defrost board. So I had to come up with some way to get these people some heat. Okay, the LED is lit like there's no trouble at all. The thermistors are not checking bad. Just will not defrost. Been off since yesterday morning. Fan was hitting the ice there. Okay, I wired it up to be able to operate it out here. I have the red to the green, which is the fan, indoor fan, which you can hear running. the yellow, which is the compressor, and the blue, which is the reversing valve, which on this unit is energized in heat mode. It came on and ran. I used the switches to force it into defrost. It'll come on and run in defrost probably 30 seconds and then kick back out. Again, I ohmed out the thermistors and they check good. However, the outputs from the board should be sending us 5 volts on these two T3 and T4, they call it, to go into the thermistors, and they are not. It is not sending out any voltage, so the board is bad according to the Ameristar flow chart. Again, this is a new board that we waited 3 months on. They say it'll be 3 more months to get another one, so we can't wait that long for heat. Okay, we've got the old board out. Don't see any obvious sign of anything wrong with it. It's apparently just crappy boards. So now I'm going to try to make some room in here to put in a Goodman arrangement. On the old board, half of the high voltage to the transformer actually came off the board, and the board was powered from the bottom of the contactor, the line side, with these 2 wires. So it was basically taking this red voltage here, running it through the board, and then sending it on out to the transformer. What we're going to do here, we're just going to connect the transformer directly back over to the red side of the contactor. Of course, the other side is already on the black side, so that'll give us our 24 volts back there again. So I don't have to take the top off. The wires run from this side to that side, do a little chase there. I'm just taping my new defrost switch 1 wire at a time to the thermistor wiring that I'm going to actually take out, and just fishing it through there. I've already got one pulled through. I'm just doing them one at a time because it's a tight squeeze. So I'm going to pull this one through, and then I'll take my thermistor wire all the way out and take it off down here, and then I'll mount the defrost sensor, or the defrost switch in this case. Well, the last video cut off unexpectedly, but I've got my defrost wires through here. My phone died, the battery. I had 20%, but it just cut off. It's very cold today, and everywhere I've been today, I've been outside. So anyway, I've got I'm tying up the outdoor temperature thermistors right behind here. I'm not going to take it apart to get it out. I did pull out the thermistor here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just put my defrost termination switch in the same location and see how it works. But the other wire I'm going to be using is the low pressure switch, which is right here. Actually, that's the high pressure switch. The low pressure switch I've already put ends on somewhere. What did I do with it? I might have wrapped it. I've already wrapped it up in here. Okay, those ends right there, that's on my low pressure switch, and they'll wind up going on the actual Goodman board. The reason the low pressure switch is separate on here is because it probably bypasses it during defrost, because sometimes when you're running AC in a very low ambient temperature like that, it's going to the pressure's going to get pretty low, so that bypasses it for that short time that you're defrosting. Okay, the nice new Goodman board is mounted, and I'll start putting some wires on it. Okay, the battery shut down again, so she's been over in the truck charging, but there's my defrost board. This is a Goodman blower board. I was going to just put a relay on it temporarily to run the fan, because at that time I was thinking this was going to be temporary till I get a new defrost board, but I think I'm done with Ameristar defrost boards, so this is going to be a permanent fix. So I went ahead and put a Goodman board I keep on the truck. That way we got a fuse on the red wire coming off the transformer. It's got a place to park the motor terminals that aren't used, stuff like that. So you'd think that would be everything we needed, except since this is an Ameristar and it energizes the reversing valve in heat, much like a ream, I need to add one more thing, which will be a relay. And what the relay will do, we will run the blue wire coming from the thermostat through it on the way to the reversing valve on the normally closed side, on one of these sides of it. And what will happen then is when we call for defrost, this Goodman board is going to send out power out of the old terminal down here, thinking it's trying to energize a reversing valve, but instead of energizing the reversing valve, we'll be energizing this coil, which will basically open up and break the connection on the reversing valve, which will be powered in heat, and that will allow it to go into defrost. Okay, just turned the power back on. I added a white wire to my little rig here so I could check the electric heat, make sure I didn't have a loose wire or something. But what I've got on right now is just the green and the white to the red. The little Goodman board came on after a short delay like it's supposed to. I can hear the fan running, and the electric heat came on, pulling the full 31 amps on it. So what I've got to do now is get some of this stuff off the top, and what I'll probably do is put the yellow on first. I'll take the red or the white off. I'll put the yellow on and make sure it comes on in AC mode, and when I'm sure that's working, then I'll touch the blue to it and make sure the reversing valve shifts. I grabbed my poor man's zebra stat from the van there and hooked up the green, the yellow, and the red, which would mean the indoor fan is on and it should be in AC mode. Be a good way to tell just by feeling of it. Okay, I'm in AC mode, so now what I need to do is switch the reversing valve, which this blue is just going to the normally closed relay and straight back out to the reversing valve, so it should shift. Here's clicking. Let me see if I can get on here. So now I'm in heat mode. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the phone off and hook it up where it's in heat mode. I'm going to disconnect my defrost thermostat and jump it out so that I can test this Goodman board. Okay, guys, I had to plug my silly phone up again, but I can feel the heat coming out of here now, and you can see the ice has started falling off the coil. It's doing a good job defrosting now. Of course, the condenser fan's off. It also has the electric heat turned on. And what I've done is jumped out the what would normally be this defrost thermostat. I just jumped it out to make it think it was real cold. And what would normally happen now, if you just leave it alone, it will run for up to 10 minutes, 10 to 13 minutes, depending on the board manufacturer, I guess. And then it should shift back out. It does that, I guess, in case you have a faulty shorted thermostat or something, keeps it from staying in defrost indefinitely. But what I'll do, I think it's thawed out pretty good, except at the very bottom, it's just laying there against it. I will try to get it to shift back out here by opening it up. And these Goodman boards have the jumper on them, like a lot of other boards that will let you do a delay between air conditioning and heat pump mode, so you don't get that growling compressor. It gives it a minute to equalize. So what it did, it turned the compressor off, and after the delay, what I will expect to happen is the compressor and the fan both come back on in heat mode. We've got our fan, we've got our compressor. Let's let it run a minute and see if we can get some icing on those lines. I'm going to turn the phone off for a second so I don't lose my battery. I'm going to see how cold I can get it right there just by running it normal with this door off. Of course, it's not letting as much air come through the coil, so it's probably colder than it would be with the door on. Oh, just made. See, I had my defrost thermostat on here, so it's actually cold enough now to go into defrost on its own. I'm going to let it run just a little longer though, and then what I'll do is actually plug this. I've got this jumper on here now. I will actually just plug my thermostat back on the board, and then I will put my little jumper on the test pins and let it go into an actual defrost, which it probably won't stay in very long since there's no ice in the coil. Okay, so I plugged my thermostat back up on there. I'll take my little jumper here, stick it on the test pins. You hear the reversing valve switch good there. I'll pull it off. Now, after the delay, the compressor will come back on. I'm surprised the hot gas didn't even, well, it didn't go up that much, I guess. But I assume that the thermostat probably terminates about 70 degrees. We can watch it here and see. I don't know if I can keep you on the phone the whole time. Okay, there comes the compressor back on. Compressor on, no fan, it's still spinning to a stop. And we should see this number start to rise. You can see it climbing up. I won't bore you with this, I'll tell you what it comes out on. Probably getting close, it's up to 64 degrees. Got 14% battery, but that don't mean it'll last. Just hoping to catch it when it comes out. It'll actually do the shift again and turn the compressor off, just like that. You hear the valve switch, the compressor's off, fan's still running, electric heat went off. So after a momentary delay, the compressor and outdoor fan will come back on in heat mode. So I'm going to call it a fix. I might tidy up these wires a little bit before I leave, but it's pretty cold. I'll have to put their thermostat wires back on my terminal block. I didn't show you the green, I don't think. The green is just coming from the thermostat straight up to the Goodman fan board. Okay, the thermostat's wired back up. It's actually on emergency heat. No one's home, so it's actually going to be on what it was on when they left the house, which is just a fan and the white wire. I checked the amps and we got it. One thing I did, I went back and looked at my first video. It was actually on red speed. I was thinking in my head medium when I stuck that blue one on there, but the problem is medium on this Ameristar is red. The Japanese or Chinesium motor, blue is low, red is medium, and black is high speed. So that's something to look out for. I about made a mistake there. So it's back on where I actually set it when I tested the static pressure when I installed it. I thought about tying some of these wires together, but it's just going to make it harder to troubleshoot. I mean, there's really nothing wrong in here. Nothing's going to be in the way of anything, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. Plus it's cold, so I'm going to put the door on it and get out of here. And I just looked at my first video from the time we walked up and took the door off and started to troubleshoot till right now is 1 hour and 45 minutes. Now, probably 30 minutes of that was running back and forth to the van to put the phone on charge. But anyway, that's why I can't always make videos. It sure does add a lot of time to your work. But they're going to have heat tonight. They're not going to be waiting 3 months on a defrost board from Ameristar. Probably a defrost board that won't work once you get it. So I'm happy with this fix. Of course, this unit's what, a little over 2 years old, or I put it in about 2 years ago. There'll be no charge for this fix. I mean, it's not the owner's fault that Ingersoll Rand can't get defrost boards, and not only can't they get them, they can't get them that work. So of course all this is on me now for the next, I guess, 8 years. If one of these parts go bad, I'll just go buy one. A good thing about using the Goodman parts, there's probably 5 stores in town that have the parts, so it won't be a hard thing to get one. You just pull up on any corner, go in and buy you a defrost board for about I'd say what, less than a third of what the Ameristar boards would cost. So we're going to leave it at this and hope it don't turn into a ball of ice tonight. Okay, a couple of things I didn't do. One, you know, most of the times a lot of people have seen that Goodman blower relay. You'll have one that's just blown plumb up because the relay sticks internally and tries to run the heat through the fan wire, and it actually melts down. So I don't have a lead going down to the electric heat, which would, you know, That way if the heat come on, that's what it's supposed to do. If the heat comes on, it automatically cuts the fan on. But if you notice, the original setup didn't have one of those either. You put white to the board and you put green to the board, and it turned the heat on and it turned the fan on. There was no physical interlock there, so it still doesn't have one, and plus it'll make that Goodman blower board last longer. The all the pressure switches are hooked back up, but all in all, they've got something that works right now. If you guys see something I should have done different, let me know here and I can go change it. It's again, everything I did today was on me, labor, materials, all that, because the customer shouldn't have to be punished because the manufacturer can't get you parts for a unit that's barely 2 years old. In fact, it was a year old the first time this happened. So I'm pretty much finished with Ameristar. That's the only package unit I ever put in. I've got quite a few of the split systems out there. Some of the stuff I read said they had a lot of problems with the defrost boards in the beginning on those, so they apparently got it worked out. Hopefully, maybe they'll eventually get this one worked out, but right now, you shouldn't have to wait 3 months for a board that won't work when you get it. The other thing, the distributor told me that they have a 100% return policy on those boards, meaning that if they do a warranty on a board, you just don't throw the board away. You have to send it back, and they have to ship it back to the factory in China. I don't know if that's so they can patch what's wrong and send it back out again, or if it's so they can find out why they're having such a high failure rate. But I feel good about what I did. It's working. It's something that can be maintained with parts locally. And I guess if there's any blessing in disguise, it's that I only have one of those out there. And now I know that they're not going to stand behind it as far as having you parts available, that I'm not going to put them in. Oops, I almost forgot. I know there's going to be people out there watching this video and saying, hey dude, you just took a demand defrost and turned it into an old conventional defrost, so the unit's not as efficient as it once was. That's true, but let me ask you this. How efficient is it running emergency heat for 3 months while you wait on a defrost board? Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.